In the book of Matthew chapter 5, I'm reading from verse 21 to 26. You have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother Raka shall be in danger of counsel. But whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of Gehenna. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. Agree with thine adversary quickly, while thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence, till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. This is the portion which is also connected to the Old Testament, the 6th commandment out of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill. The Lord is communicating with speaking with his disciples, and how that thou shalt not kill, the commandment needed to be interpreted even for them. So before anybody kills anyone, so what goes on in the heart of a man, if he is plotting to kill one, that he said there will be a resentment in the heart first, then there will be kind of a words which will come out, then there is actual action. But for everything, then the Lord said in this manner, in verse 22, But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. So if anybody is angry with a brother, then he also will come under judgment. That portion we have seen on Friday evening. That means even there is the slightest resentment towards other people in our hearts, that also is a matter in the sight of God who can really bring that out and judge when we stand before the judgment seat of Christ. So we have seen in the life of David how he actually asked the Lord in Psalm 17, Psalm 26, Psalm 19. That means even in the Old Testament, in spite of his most difficult times with his father-in-law King Saul and also his own son Absalom, he has maintained that kind of a honest heart and a good conscience before God and before men. Even the slightest resentment he avoided. So he knew that it is not a good thing for him to be there like that. Then when we come to the next one, and whosoever shall say to his brother Raka, or in the margin it is said fool. So the word in Hebrew is more appropriate to be used as fool than Raka. So if anyone says to any brother that you are a fool, that means we have formed an opinion about them and judging them, and very slight sarcastic manner or something, putting them down in a different sense we are doing, then that also will come under a judgment of counsel. Counsel is something very high. It is like a Sanhedrin in those times. That is like a Supreme Court. It will be the highest court in the law on the land there. So when such a word, it is not the actual word, but it is a state of the heart of a man thinking about someone, that what they are, and saying that word is the one which will really not acceptable in the sight of God. So when you are saying somebody fool, that means you are thinking that you are a better person than him, and in your sight they are good for nothing. So when God considers that our heart in that kind of a prideful state towards other people, God does not accept that one. So there is a reason why he created God, that person also in his image. And we are no one to say that kind of a word to that person. And if you do not agree, that is a different thing. But if you are saying something, then that is a different matter. So the Lord is looking for something that it is not a right thing. It means the Lord is looking for a heart unto something that as his disciples, we need to be so clear conscience towards God and towards man, both ways. And not a single word going here and there towards other people. If something like that, then that will also be brought under judgment. It is called judgment of counseling. Counsel is the biggest one. See, now those two judgments, one is a judgment and another was a counsel, and our heart resentment or anger is coming to the judgment, and our words are coming under the judgment of the counsel. These two, one is in our heart feelings, and the second one is saying words. Both are not taken as a punishable or offensible in the court of law on the earth. So if I say someone fool, I don't think that anybody can normally in any government will book the case against me. So what the Lord is saying, those two things will be judged when we stand before the judgment seat of Christ. So when we understand that how the Lord's judgment is going to be, then accordingly our life is needed to be in our heart, or our conscience needed to be exercised in such a manner not to have any kind of ill feeling or resentment, anger in our hearts. And that anger, if you take it away, then you will also not say inappropriate words towards the other people. So in the beginning itself, how our heart and our conscience towards the God and people to be maintained. Towards God is the reverence and fear, and also towards people with love, so that we will maintain good conscience towards them, both of them. And this is a very big problem for all of us, that we don't really take this matter very seriously in our day-to-day conduct of our lives. We say many words which are not supposed to. We entertain many thoughts in our life, many things which are not acceptable to the Lord. But all these things, the Lord is going to bring it out. So if a life continued with an undisciplined, unsanctified way, and as at the end of the day when the Lord judges us, and these are the things which the Lord is going to bring to judgment. So we may not be killing, or we may not be doing immoral activity like the worldly people, but those are all, you think that you are much better than them. But it is not that will give you enough hold in the sight of God when you stand before the judgment seat of Christ. But God always looks at the heart. So that means if we have an opportunity and if there is no problem, you will also behave the same way the worldly people will do. But then the Lord will not accept that kind of a heart. And that is definitely not suitable for heavenlies. If we are interested, if we are really looking a place where God is there and where His Son is in glory, and we are looking forward for that place to be found all the time, then our hearts also needed to be brought out to be conducive to that atmosphere, to that life. And this is a ground where we all needed to be ready for that place. So it is our interest, the Lord has put in the word of God that how we need to live in our lives here. Then he said, and whosoever shall say to his brother shall be in danger of counsel, but whosoever shall say, thou fool. Fool is actually the word rebel. What Moses said to the children of Israelites in book of Numbers chapter 20. So last week also we have seen that. That is the word which is rebel means rebel against God. So that means he is taking the position of God to judge them. So the thinking fool is in your heart, and you are feeling, instead of esteeming him good, then you are esteeming him fool. You are considering him fool. And here in this matter, you are taking the position of a God and saying that you are a rebel. So that is not rebel against God. So that is not acceptable to the Lord. So in book of Romans chapter 14 and also in James, the apostles both were asking that who are you to judge the another child of God? So that means we have no right to do that. So we'll read that references. Book of Romans, chapter 14, verse 10. But why dost thou judge thy brother, or dost thou set at naught thy brother? For we shall all stand before the judgment seat of Christ. For it is written, as I live, said the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to me. So then, every one of us shall give account of himself to God. Let us not therefore judge one another any more, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way. So we should not, we don't have any right to do that. The moment I am saying that you are a rebel, that I am assuming a position of a judge. So if I say a rebel, you have read many times that book of Numbers chapter 20, where he said that you Raka or rebels. Numbers chapter 20 verse 10 to 15, that incident, you can read that one. So that either having a resentment in the heart or saying a word fool, that means considering the brother lower than you. And the third one, much more aggressively saying that you are rebel against God. So in all these things, counsel, judgment, and Gehenna fire, that will be the punishments which the Lord is going to dispense. So the counsel and the judgment, both are, we say, those things are coming from our hearts, then it will be punishable offense when we stand before the judgment seat of Christ. So in book of Matthew chapter 12, we see that the Lord said, so chapter 12 verse 35 onwards. Matthew 12:35. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give an account thereof in the day of judgment. So, for by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. So then we need to be careful then how the words are proceeding out of our mouth. Then if we have a consciousness of that, then everything which I speak, utter, either in private or in public, how God is going to take note of them and will bring me under judgment of those matters. It should be a serious concern for all of us. And whosoever shall say, thou rebel, shall be in a danger of Gehenna fire. The Gehenna fire is, the other day we have seen, it is the valley of Hinnom, which is in the southeast side of the Jerusalem, where all the garbage of the city in the times of our Lord Jesus Christ was brought out and put it on fire. And all the time there is a fire going on. And all the criminals also, those who are not really worthy to be given a decent burial, those bodies are also thrown out into the fire which was burning along with the garbage. So the Lord was saying that these people, those who say that you, to any brother, that a rebel, then they are liable to that kind of a punishment. So now, for example, if a brother say to another brother that you are a rebel, or something of that sort which God considers that as a serious offense, now there is no Gehenna fire here. So that was those days there. But corresponding to that, whatever is required in other places, wherever it is, the Lord is going to put them into that kind of a punishment. So any of these things, what the Lord has said, will not be given any exemption. If the Lord considers that that is what we have committed, and the Lord will also bring them unto that kind of a judgment what he pronounced here. So whatever now in other places, wherever it is Gehenna or the valley of Hinnom fire, that all will be real and applicable. So a believer who thinks that I came out of the forgiveness, I came and the Lord forgave me and I am in the Lord, then there is no condemnation if they take the verse 1 of Romans 8 chapter. But these verses also we should consider. Every word which you utter will be brought under judgment. Same God, it is also written. So we cannot say that is for me and this is not for me. Both are for us. So we need to be careful in how our heart condition, how we utter words, and how we say different kind of words to the people. And in all these things, then our heart condition towards the brothers, how it occupies, is the important matter. When we say that there is no going to be any punishment for the believers, but the same Lord also is talking about the brothers. So that means if it is an unbeliever, then there is no relationship as a brother. It is a brother. So we need to understand that relation.
Brother,
yes.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
This is for both for the brothers and also the unbelievers. The way we speak, the words that the Lord will take into account. Or is it only to the believers to believers context the Lord is exhorting to the disciples?
Now, if you want to speak with a brother, if you don't want to speak with a brother like that, but if you take the liberty of talking in the similar fashion to the unbelievers, so that means your heart is not right actually. You are carefully avoiding some and liberally observe and doing some. So how can the Lord would consider my heart is really good?
Yeah, that is what my point is, because if we behave in a very good way to a brother, but then our inner condition of our heart is still not cleansed, we would be behaving differently with unbelievers.
Yeah, that is still not right.
So the Lord will consider it as even more bad, because here I am trying to curtail my speech, but there I am trying to be so the judgment is on both count.
It is not someone outside or inside. It is your condition of your heart.
Condition of my heart.
Yes. You see, suppose you are avoiding with a brother because fearing the judgment of God. You are doing outside because you don't have that kind of a heart condition to show reverence to God's commandment. That is why that kind of a heart is not acceptable to the Lord.
But the Lord is looking at the heart more than the words first.
Yeah, that is, so when the Lord said in the commandment, the 6th commandment, thou shalt not kill, it is the meaning of this, that your words, that condition of your heart is the most important thing. That is what ultimately or subsequently leading to a killing, a murder. So in this regard, that the assembly life is the good training ground for all of us.
Yeah.
So we are all coming from different backgrounds. Everybody was brought up differently, and languages are different, cultures are different, our understandings are different. But in that, everyone is individually unique. And at that time, then when you are learning to behave with all of them on the new ground as a brother and sister, on the basis of the scripture, and so much of overhauling is required in our lives to conduct ourselves with them in a manner what is written in the scripture. If I am concentrating on how I speak with my brothers, we always will fail. Don't concentrate on that one. But what we need to do is learn to love the Lord, and what pleases to the Lord, that you inculcate as your habitual behavior. And that is where we will avoid, whether it's a brother or a non-brother, we will do well. But when you are trying to carefully traverse your way with different people in different places, then it will all get into, we will never be growing in sanctification.
Yes.
Our heart needed to be associated, clinged, cleaved with the Lord. By faith, the Lord should live in our hearts, so that the love and affection of Him towards all may generate from the bottom of our hearts to avoid all this mess. Then only we will be all right. Otherwise, nobody will be able to. If you are avoiding talking this, you will do something else. So we cannot go bit by bit, piece by piece. Just see carefully by faith. Allow the Lord to live in your heart by faith. That was the prayer of Paul to Ephesians chapter 3 verse 17. Then when He lives in us, what kind of a love and affection He has towards the brethren, He will allow to germinate in our heart also the same thing. Then our words and our deeds will also curtail automatically towards them, because of His powerful living in us.
Brother,
Yes.
if our heart is also is clear, but when we go to the workplaces, the mingling with other peoples, and we will become like that too sometime.
But that is not right, Samson. So we need to be wherever we are. We need to conduct ourselves as a separated people. So if they don't agree, if they don't like you, that is not a problem. But you need to manifest the character and the behavior of the Lord in every place. While the Lord was here, there were Pharisees and the scribes. They were always opposing Him. Did He in any way compromise with them?
No.
That's the same thing. Wherever the Lord puts us, and according to your understanding and ability, the Lord will supply you grace to conduct in a manner. You will not be compromising with what is not good. The Lord will help you. But in your heart, if you don't have that kind of a burden, I need to please the Lord, then you will compromise. If you are looking to please people, then it is easy for you to mix with them. But if you are now trying to please the Lord, then you will be with the Lord. Then you won't have any feeling if they reject you, because you are learning to please the Lord.
Yes.
I would like to read one verse about that.
Yeah.
Book of Hosea, chapter 7, 8 and 9.
Ephraim has mixed himself among the peoples. Ephraim is a cake unturned. Altons have devoured his strength, but he does not know it. Yes, grey hairs are here and there on him. Yes, he does not know it.
So Ephraim, he had mixed himself among the people. So that means he is now fully mixed with the world. So when he is outside in the world, he is like that. Then what happened to him? He said, is a cake not turned? when you are making a chapati or anything, then it need to be done both sides. It is only done on one side. And one side he doesn't like because he wanted to be on the other side with the world, where there is no problem. Then he says, in verse 9, strangers have devoured his strength. So while mixing with the world, then his strength is also gone. Then he knoweth it not. Yet, grey hairs are here and there upon them, yet he knoweth not. So grey hair is speaking that you are losing the strength of your life. You are growing old. So even that he did not recognize. His mixing has become so much that he became a cake which is not turned, and his hair started turning grey, but he did not know. And how pathetic that is a condition of a believer if he is like that. He is thinking that is okay, but that is not okay in the sight of the Lord. You cannot eat a cake, bread or cake which is only done one side. The other side is kacha. So we should not do that to life. But when you take the stand wherever you are working, then the Lord gives you everyday grace. But that is the battle where the Lord brings your heart, and ultimately your truth and your stand will be recognized and honored by God. If those people do not know, if they don't recognize also. So shall we come back to book of Matthew? Verse 23. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee. So if when you are bringing an offering to the altar, that time it is still, the Lord has not completed his work, the Old Testament altar is still there, that he brought the offer to the altar and gave it to the priest. But there he remembered. Then if you remember that thy brother hath aught against thee. You don't have anything, but your brother has got something against you. That time either you are made to remember, or somebody came and told you that there is someone who is having he has something against you. So that is, now he is going to offer his worship, prayer, or whatever he wanted to offer to the Lord. But that time, if you remember, at the altar, then he said, don't do that. Don't offer the altar. Let it be there. You go back. Then reconcile with the brother. And you tell him then what you meant, what he understood. And if it is truly your heart is right with you, then the Lord will help that brother also to understand your honesty and the love filled your heart towards him. Then the situation will be reconciled. But when you are trying to reconcile, but in your heart that heart condition, what God looks at or requires towards that brother is missing, then you are doing in a very superficial manner, only to please him or to fulfill the word, but still that is not good. So when many times we know that somebody is offended, we say sorry. But that sorry is not coming truly from the bottom of our heart. And also that sorry is not, you don't have, it came to know that you offended him, you said sorry. Suppose that it was not known to him, that brother, what will he say? If that brother did not tell anybody who was offended, but you know that you offended him. That time, what normally we all will do is, suppose when somebody did not bring to our attention that the brother was offended by us, and if they don't come to us, then we don't say sorry. Then we don't really feel about that. So that is not what the Lord is saying here. If you remember, and that you offended, and even if that brother did not say anything to you, you go and tell him, you are sorry, and it was not intentional or whatever the condition. You truly manifest your love and concern to the brother. By any chance, if you are causing an offense to the brother in following the Lord, there is a serious punishment for that. So book of Matthew chapter 18. So I'm reading from verse 7 onwards. Book of Matthew chapter 18. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off, and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt, maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into the life with 1 eye, rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hellfire. Take heed that you despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you, that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father who is in heaven. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged out his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Yeah, Luke 17:2 also. So now you see that what kind of a life would be. That means if I offend a brother, any little one, and because I'm in a position or I can say something, then if he is offended and not reconciled and not set right, then they are going to put me a millstone on my neck and drown me in the sea. That means there is no coming up. And that kind of a death is something very horrible. I cannot swim, I cannot come up because there is a weight hanging on my neck. So this is only one, the Lord said, proclaimed such kind of a very horrible punishment by causing an offense to any little one. Matthew 5:24. Leave there thy gift before the altar and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother and then come and offer thy gift. So you can come back and offer the gift again. So that means it is, you are not exempted now not to offer that one. So this is also to be done. That is also to be done. Our responsibility towards God and our responsibility towards man both need to be fulfilled in an equal manner. Verse 25. Agree with thine adversary quickly while thou art in the way with him. So how soon you need to go and reconcile after knowing that? He said quickly, while you are on the way. On the way means it is not something that our way to some destination. In one sense that is right. Our destination is towards the leaving this world and leaving a place of departed souls or Hades, wherever it is, or if the Lord comes or at that time. So that is called the distance, that is called the way. Within that time, quickly you reconcile. And while thou art on the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge. So why there is a urgency to there? Suppose that person whom you have offended is gone before you, left this world, or he is gone some other location. He moved to a new location where you cannot reach. Then it is a problem. The charge is still laid against you. That brother must have complained about you to the throne of God. This brother has done this kind of an injustice or told me like this. And I was feeling my heart is grieved about this. Then the Lord will look at that. Then that charge is still pending against the one who caused offense in the court of God. So it is needed before any of the two parties left this world. Then there is no chance for the reconciliation. Lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge. So when he goes before, and that there is no chance, we missed the chance and the opportunity. In the court of God, where the other person also goes when the case is opened, both are standing before the judgment seat of Christ. then since the charge is already laid against me and still pending to be disposed of, then the Lord will bring that case for the disposal. And then he will say, the adversary will deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer. Then the judge will deliver the judgment and tell the officer in heavens, thou be cast into prison. So thou will be put in a confinement where you will not be enjoy the freedom what otherwise is available for the children of God in that place. Verse 26. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. So here we say there is currency is measured in dollars. Then they will say that you pay $10,000 and 6 months in prison. But there, whatever the farthing or the currency, which we have to pay in terms of there, or whatever the judgment time the judge decides. So that will be, he will not come out till that is paid. And I don't know what is that farthing. But if we miss out the opportunity to resurrect in the first resurrection, then I will not be coming in glory with the Lord to rule for 1,000 years. That opportunity is gone. So then if my judgment falls for 900 years, then the 900 years I need to be inside. Or 9 years, I need to be inside. 9 months, I need to be inside. But once we lose the opportunity of coming out in the first resurrection to rule with the Lord, that is gone. So we cannot take anything very lightly and simply or easily in our lives. The Lord is looking each of his children come to a stage of that kind of a heart which is compatible to the heavenlies to glorify his name. When we are not taking it seriously, our conduct of thoughts and words, the Lord anytime can equate them to murder or killing. Then correspondingly there is going to be a very punishment. Judge will deliver you to the officer and office will put you in prison. You will not come out till you pay the last 40. So that means even a single day, whatever is due, you need to pay that penalty. So when I heard this and came to know what is this means, this passage, about 30 years ago. So I went and told all the people whomsoever I felt I did not conduct well. So they said, we never felt, but I said, I felt. So some of them said, I'm acting like a fool. But that was the truth which has gripped me so much. But I'm not saying that every day of this remaining 30 years I did like that. But many times my old nature must have come up. But I'm conscious that how my God, my Father, expect my heart to be with him and also in relation to my brothers and sisters. And God honors that heart and blesses them, because that is the heart which is required to be found in his presence all through. If your heart is honest with you now, the Lord wanted to complete the sanctification here. But if you are trying to avoid and postpone the work of sanctification, then it will be done there. If you are truthful in your heart towards the Lord loves you and does everything required, whatever is needed to be done to be with him when you leave this world. So what problem with the believers is, and many of us, when the Lord wanted to discipline us and we don't like it. Discipline is always mortifying the eye, feet, leg, hand, words and everything. That means putting the old man on the cross. It brings death. And death is painful. We don't like the painful things.
Yes.
Go to the Lord, always give all the pleasure things, smooth things.
Yeah.
And we put a mark called grace. That is not good. when my heart is honest with the Lord, whatever is good for my life to be completed sanctification, the Lord will take me through. And that all starts within the family. So with our wife, mothers, father, brothers, sisters, children, the Lord will do a lot of things. But when we are subjecting to the Lord, but if you are commanding different things that I need to be like this, then we don't allow the work of the Lord in us. Then the second place of good ground is the assembly. In assembly, when we meet 20, 30, 40 people, if you are trying to exercise that good conscience towards all the brethren and learn to love all of them, then we are done. Whatever is required, then everything will be completed by the Lord. So I told many times, if I learn to love all the 40 brothers in the assembly, and I am done, and the Lord will take me home. So every one of us have got a different opinion about all of us. We need to come honestly before the Lord. Learn to love each one, whatever they are. And encourage them, whatever the way. First, when our heart is not right, we cannot even encourage them. Learn to love because they are the children of God. And we both worship, both pray to the same God. If my heart is not right, and my prayer is not acceptable, you leave the offering, go there first. You don't have to pray. You don't have to worship. Reconcile with the brother. Tell the Lord, tell the brother in the most available opportunity, and be open, honest, love, and exercise that conscience.